This request comes from SJ1 Productions on what if Tenshinhan was raised by Muten Roshi rather than Surusenin, with Roshi's positive teachings aiding Tenshinhan's natural third eye abilities, rather than diminishing them as Surusenin's evil actions did. On the subject of Toriyama's explanation, this would imply Tenshinhan would have to meet him at an early enough age for this to be a formative thing. This raises the important question of what do these abilities entail. We could simply say he essentially becomes like who he was inspired by, Alan Shen, but that's going a bit too far, especially when the abilities of Dragonball characters based on those within Shioshi aren't one-to-one. The Daizenshu confirms some techniques attributed to his third eye include the Shioken and Shishin no Ken, but that his upbringing prevented him from achieving true seeing, which would likely mean exceptionally precise ki sensing, not as limited by his upbringing. Those two techniques would also be utilized to their full potential, with the Shioken not using up great stamina, and the Shishin no Ken not dividing the speed and potency of techniques, much like Cell's version in the anime, though we'll still say the overall ki would have to be divided. Another aspect I'd see worth exploring here is how more basic ki techniques such as the Kamehameha became ineffective against him, as he learned how they worked and mimicked them. That said, we'll also say such enlightening two techniques makes Roshi's claim that no size of the Kamehameha can affect him be more than hyperbole. With that, let's get into it. Tenshinhan quickly grows in power from the path of Shugyo Roshi provides him, with him being judged as ready to compete in the 20th Tenkaichi Budokai. Tenshinhan defeats Jackie Chun, with Roshi then suggesting to venture the world for new opponents to help improve himself further, and to keep in mind not to become arrogant of his strength. Tenshinhan ventures the world, with him eventually being taught by Karin, and defeating many notable martial artists. He returns to face Roshi around a year before Goku meets him, who has improved to be equal to his 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai self, but even this is no match for Tenshinhan. It's upon growing frustrated with his inability to find a worthy opponent that Tenshinhan consults Karin, who gives him permission to visit Kami, with him staying there 4 years, being told by Kami of Roshi's new students, and wanting to test them at the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, while Goku performs even more intense Shugyo than normal, when having been told by Karin of a far stronger former student of Roshi honing his skills above them, as well as Jackie Chun having easily defeated him at the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Another familiar face at the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai is Chaozu, this time far stronger due to being the sole student of Surusenin to put all his bets on, and far more emotionless when entirely loyal to his teacher, for reasons I have covered before. Chaozu doesn't think to rig the matches, so the matchups are far different. In match 1, Goku one-shots the opponent that would take Manwolf's place without the moon being destroyed. Match 2 has Yamcha and Kuririn facing each other in an extremely close fight where Yamcha's more refined Kamehameha barely has him get the win. Match 3 has Jackie Chun effortlessly defeat Pampoto, and Tenshinhan easily defeats Chaozu after trying and failing to have him move away from Surusenin. Goku defeats Yamcha easier than he would Kuririn, with Yamcha not being as strategic, and Roshi's even greater ki than normal still isn't a match for Tenshinhan, with him graciously forfeiting quickly. Goku is no match for Tenshinhan, but the latter takes the time to teach him through the finals, and is impressed at the talent of someone who can be considered his kohai. When Piccolo Daimao makes his move, Tenshinhan flies off with him trying to bring Goku back, easily disposing of Tambourine, and bringing the Daimao directly to him. Tien is shocked to see the Daimao looks exactly like Kami, with Piccolo telling him the history between them, as well as their life link. Tenshinhan effortlessly overpowers him, but can't bring himself to defeat him when knowing what it means, and, upon being told what Piccolo wants with the Dragon Balls, Tenshinhan takes the Sushinchu from Goku to offer as a means for Piccolo to go away, both from wanting to protect Kami while he he thinks of another method, and his own curiosity to see if this can give him a worthy opponent. He then asks Muten Roshi about the Mafuba, and is given a demonstration when not yielding to his master's lies, with Tenshinhan mastering it almost instantly. Seeking out the Daimao's key, Tenshinhan stops him from aggressively pursuing the Dragon Balls, and agrees to gather them for him in order to fight him at his best before getting rid of him. Piccolo Daimao's youth still proves futile against Tenshinhan, who then seals him with the Mafuba before taking it to the Shinden to be protected. Kami criticizes the risk Tenshinhan took for his own curiosity, but is still given enough confidence from Tenshinhan's handling of the situation to make him his successor, having been surpassed in power and practicality after restoring the Dragon Balls to allow Kuririn to be brought back. Goku, bearing witness to all this, convinces him he must chase after Tenshinhan in order to not stay behind, with him going through drinking the Choshinsui and being tutored by Popo, with Tenshinhan acting as a teacher too. At the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, Tao Pai Pai and Chaozu come to enact revenge, with Chaozu rigging the matches. In match 1, Goku proves how futilist Tao Pai Pai's plans were. In match 2, Kuririn defeats Chi-Chi, who then makes her intent with Goku overt. Match 3 has Chaozu's efforts prove too little against Yamcha's Sokidan, and match 4 has Tenshinhan get an easy win against a Muten Roshi who is competing without any disguise, to see whether or not he should truly retire, with his efforts still not matching 10. Goku easily defeats Kuririn after testing what he's capable of, and Tenshinhan tutors Yamcha much as Kami would. In the final round, a Goku who has pushed himself far further to match Tenshinhan proves the challenge Tenshinhan has yearned for, but not enough to overcome him, with Tenshinhan's power, techniques, and immunity to the Kamehameha still proving too much. With Piccolo not causing a panic, the 24th Tenkaichi Budokai is scheduled for 3 years later. Though Goku keeps pushing himself intensely, he doesn't see it as enough to match Tenshinhan, with him seeing if Buruma can create a gravity device when not wanting to waste his limited time in the room of spirit and time. Her father manages to make a room and place it in a capsule for Goku to set up near his own house, with him managing to master 10 Gs, and eventually push himself to 20 before the long-awaited rematch. Meanwhile, Tenshinhan permits for Kuririn to study under him, when frustrated at lagging so far behind, Yamcha not doing so when already having enough to sort out with Buruma. With the Budokai still being a profitable option for money, Chi-Chi is approving of Goku preparing for it, as well as not entirely against Gohan learning martial arts in the future. The rematch is far closer than before, with Goku now having the edge in power and speed, but Tenshinhan's techniques and experience, as well as greater ability to sense ki, keeping things even. Ultimately, Goku's durability is enough to wear Tenshinhan down, and gain a decisive victory, with Tenshinhan being content at finally finding someone he can call a rival, with no demand from Tenshinhan to never show themselves again. Surusenin's group continue preparing to become stronger. This is bad enough for Gero to take notice in his research, with him proposing to use his technology to upgrade both, with plans to upgrade Tao Pai Pai cybernetics with the materials and energy sources he'd use for 19, and the ageless and emotionless Chaozu making the perfect candidate for an infinite energy model. Gathering the resources for both would be a long process, but Gero and Surusenin would bide their time. 2 years later, Raditz comes to find Kakaroto, only to be in awe at his battle power when detecting it from far away to be around 5,000, without him having to flare his ki. Raditz approaches cautiously, still thinking it to be a malfunction, but is equally shocked to find Goku immediately being aware of his presence, with Raditz coming clean on who he is, but reading the situation enough not to coerce him into wiping out the Earthlings, instead telling him about Frieza, and asking how someone rated as a lower class warrior became so much stronger than one judged as an elite, or mid-class depending on how you define it. At birth, Goku tells him about the gravity device, with Raditz turning his scouter off before telling his brother that they must try and use it to become strong enough to defeat Frieza, along with Raditz thinking that perhaps he can overthrow Vegeta as the new leader of the Saiyans. Raditz turning his scouter off has Vegeta catch on to him using Earth as a safe haven to surpass Frieza, with Vegeta having he and Nappa turn off their scouters, explaining this and going to Earth in order to find what they can to defeat Frieza. Learning all Raditz has said, Tenshinhan and Kuririn intensify their sparring, as well as have Karin invite Yamcha to join them. Remembering what Piccolo Daimao did, Tenshinhan also convinces Kami that someone of his talent may be of great help against this unprecedented threat if he restores his youth, with Kami eventually conceding. Tien also introduces the room of spirit and time to Kuririn and Yamcha, but none of them are yet at the level where the realm would be anything more than pointless torture to their bodies. However, it does open up the concept of gravity training, with them deciding to perform Shugyo alongside the Saiyans, though still taking it in turns, with 10 times gravity being something that Earthlings are far from used to, with Karin's Senzu supply being far greater without Yajirobe destroying a good amount of it. The use of Saiyan power occurs very quickly, with Goku, Raditz and Gohan quickly mastering 100 times gravity, and drawn out as much ki as they can through it. Tenshinhan and Kami master 10 times gravity, but doing the same with 100 times proves too difficult when not biologically adapted for higher gravity like Saiyans, instead focusing on weighted training and meditation for more refined conditioning. It's from training together that Kami also learns of his Namekian identity from Raditz, and Goku naturally asking Kami about his new appearance has Raditz learn of the Dragonballs. To not detract from the high intensity of the Saiyans Shugyo, Tenshinhan uses his privilege as Earth's Kami to visit Enma and request he, his predecessor, and the other Earthlings attempt to learn from Kaiol, with his time learning of Enma since taking over the title of Kami, having Tenshinhan earn his respect enough that Enma sees it as something that could lighten his workload if Frieza is defeated, as a win-win situation. Getting there is a simple task for these four, with them having taken the gravity mastery beforehand, allowing them to focus on mastering the Kaioken and Genki Dama. Though Kuririn and Yamcha struggle to do so with how difficult they are to learn, Tenshinhan and Kami manage to master Kaioken, with Tenshinhan's incredible understanding of the nature of ki giving him an idea of how he can further improve it. When Nappa and Vegeta arrive, they are shocked to see even the weakest of the Dragon team opposing them reach far beyond what their scouters can measure. Raditz is tempted to get rid of Vegeta while he can, but knows defeating Frieza comes first, as they head to invade his territory. But where things go from there will have to wait for part 2 with how long this has become, so be sure to subscribe if not already, and see the next part on screen here when available, or another video you may like before that.